Bethile Intsimbi yesixhenxe. On the dot, it's 7 o'clock. Welcome to your favorite talk show, that is your VOB Voice of the Bay with myself, Percy M. Tonight, I am hosting a number of guests from different political parties. The first guest in our first segment is the Honorable Athol Trollip, who is leading Action SA in Parliament. Again, in our show, I will also be talking to the newly elected Democratic Alliance caucus leader in Nelson Mandela Bay. In our second and third segment, 4 and 5 segment, Eastern Cape Head of Communications, Mr. Gift Ngondi. Remember, tomorrow, Premier of the Eastern Cape will be delivering his State of the Province address. But we will be talking the 2-day Lekgotla with Mr. Gift Ngondi, who is the head of communication in the Eastern Cape. But for now, let's just welcome Mr. Athol Trollip on the line. Mr. Athol Trollip, good evening and welcome to Mpumakapa TV, especially to our show that is The Voice of the Bay. Good evening, Honorable Athol Trollip.
Smiling when you're calling me Honorable Trollip. It's been 10 years since I've been in Parliament and I'm back in Parliament.
Yes, Honorable Trollip. Honorable Trollip, last week, Friday, you have presented in the Parliament in front of the President. You were allowed to speak on behalf of your political party, that is Action SA, that you are leading in Parliament. You have mentioned a number of things, but the most interesting one that you have mentioned, you told the President about the bad state, Honorable Trollip, of Nelson Mandela Municipality or Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality, bad state of our roads. Can you just elaborate more on that?
Yeah, thanks very much, Percy. I'm sorry, I'm in my vehicle. It's not the best background and I'm making the best of a bad situation. You know, I come from the Eastern Cape, Percy. You know how much I love the Eastern Cape. So I was talking in the debate on the President's opening of Parliament address. And I thought it was the opportune time to talk about two things that affect Nelson Mandela Bay or Gqeberha. And the first one was about what has happened to the state of roads due to the fact that manganese is not being transported by rail. And manganese is being transported out of the Northern Cape through the Eastern Cape to the port of Ngqura and the port of Port Elizabeth by road. Now, the first thing, Percy, is that in most developed countries in the world, rail freight is not allowed to be transported on the road because rail freight is best transported on rail. It's bulk freight, and bulk freight should be transported on the rail. But in South Africa, we don't do that. We've destroyed our rail network and we don't maintain it, so that all the people that are connected to government, they all run trucks and they transport manganese and coal right across this country. But let's focus only on Nelson Mandela Bay. All the manganese coming out of the Northern Cape comes to Nelson Mandela Bay, and they're now redirecting some of it to Buffalo City. And that freight should never be on the road because these trucks are destroying our road infrastructure. They're destroying towns like Cradock. They're destroying Markman Township. They're destroying the beachfront of Nelson Mandela Bay. They should have moved those manganese ore dumps to the port of Ngqura years ago, but they're not doing that because if you are exporting out of a place like Port Elizabeth, where the export conditions have been depreciated, it's much more profitable. If you move those manganese export dumps to the new port of Ngqura, they're going to have to comply with all sorts of new environmental legislation, and that makes the profit margin much smaller. So what's happening in South Africa is all the politically connected elite are transporting rail freight by road, and they're making a killing. And if you just go into Motherwell off the N2, and you go into Motherwell and you see what's happened to Markman Township, it's an absolute disgrace. We should never allow that to happen. And if you are on the Settlers Way to the harbour of Port Elizabeth, you will see that the manganese trucks are destroying the infrastructure and everything is black. The pollution is unbelievable. The road accidents from Port Elizabeth to Cradock on the what do you call it? The Olifantskop Pass. Every
Yes.
day, twice a day, there's a thing on the radio about a truck that's jackknifed. It's completely unacceptable. So I told the president about that. And I said to the president, we've got to do something about it because it's destroying the beautiful city of Nelson Mandela Bay.
Mr. Athol Trollip, or Honorable Trollip, did you give the president the time frame of your proposal?
Percy, I told the president that when I was the mayor in Nelson Mandela Bay between 2016 and 2018, that I'd met with Siyabonga Gama, who was then the head of Transnet, and every single deadline that has been set for moving the manganese ore dumps from Humewood to Ngqura has been moved. Every year they move it, another year out, another year out. So I told him that, and also told the president that we know why this is happening, because the people that are close to government are making a lot of money out of it. So the president is now fully aware. And I'm not sure if before I made that speech that the people that were representing the Eastern Cape or Nelson Mandela Bay had the courage to actually tell the president. But I haven't stopped, Percy. This is just the beginning. I'm going to pursue this matter until those manganese ore dumps are moved from Nelson Mandela Bay into the port of Ngqura, and I'm not going to rest until that happens. And I'm also going to fight every single truckload of manganese that comes from the Northern Cape to the Eastern Cape. But the other issue that I spoke to the president about was the fact that in Nelson Mandela Bay, we are faced with a situation with crime. And in Nelson Mandela Bay, we have got a crime situation that is completely out of control and nobody does anything about it. And I reminded the president that he came to Nelson Mandela Bay on the 25th of March, just before the election. And he told the people of Nelson Mandela Bay that the ANC government had crime under control. And I reminded the president that the only person that was safe in Nelson Mandela Bay on the 25th of March was the president, because he went from the northern areas and he had lunch at Brooks Hill Pavilion at around lunchtime, around 1 o'clock. And he felt very safe because he had a convoy of over 15 cars that filled the whole parking lot at Brooks Hill Pavilion. And I reminded him that it's one thing for politicians to feel safe in cities when all the residents in that city feel unsafe. And Nelson Mandela Bay has become a killing field. And I found it really ironic and unacceptable that the president had come to Nelson Mandela Bay to tell people that the government had crime under control when he was accompanied by 15 motor vehicles that filled the whole parking lot. And he might have felt safe, but everyone else in Nelson Mandela Bay is unsafe.
Mr. Athol Trollip, Honorable Trollip, thank you very much for giving this wonderful explanation about the plight of our roads, together with what is dominant currently in the Nelson Mandela, that is crime. We hope the president will do something about what we have mentioned or told him about the state of the Nelson Mandela Bay municipality. Thank you very much for affording us your time, Mr. Athol Trollip.
Thank you very much, Percy. I love the Eastern Cape and I'll continue fighting for it.
Thank you very much, sir. That was Honorable Athol Trollip. He was explaining to us about what he has told the president about the plight of this municipality on two things, that is the state of our roads and the dominant crime that is currently taking place in the Nelson Mandela Bay. We'll go for a commercial break. After we come back, I will be talking to the newly elected Democratic Alliance caucus leader in Nelson Mandela Bay, Councillor Rhino Kaiser. Sinamkele kwakhona kwi-inkqubo yethu i-VOB. Once again, welcome to your favorite talk show, that is your VOB, with myself, Percy. I am joined by the newly elected caucus leader of the Democratic Alliance in the Nelson Mandela Bay municipality. Welcome and congratulations in your new responsibility, Councillor Rhino Kaiser.
Thank you, Percy, and good evening to all your viewers.
Yes. Councillor Rhino Kaiser, this is not the first time a leading DA in this municipality. You were given this. You know what is expected from you. You know your role that you should play in the municipality. But just before we talk, because you have a huge responsibility, you will be leading the opposition in this municipality. In your own observation, in fact, this municipality is part of your life. How do you observe of what is happening in this municipality? What do you observe?
Thank you, Percy. Percy, I think I need to mention that the municipality is broken. You have a situation in this municipality where people that's outside of the municipality, which are a cabal, is running the operations within this municipality.
I don't hear you.
Yes, thank you. Percy, you will have to look in terms of all the decisions taken.
Councillor Rhino Kaiser, all the people who are in this municipality, yes. You are 120 councillors. Yes. You are coming from different political parties. Now you are talking about cabal. I don't understand.
Yes. Percy, can you just allow me to explain to you? You will understand that there is 120 councillors elected and have a legislative responsibility to take decisions in the interest of the municipality and also take decisions in the interest of its residents. Mm. What you find in the meetings of the council, some of the political parties does not even open the documents anymore.
We are talking about the councillors.
Councillors. Just allow me space, Percy. They don't open their documents anymore because they come to council, take decisions based on instructions, right? Not with outstanding and ignoring their legislative responsibility to take decisions that is lawful, take decisions that is in the interest of the municipality, and take decisions that will make sure service delivery in this municipality are not being compromised. Let me take, for example, just over the last 2 weeks, you would have seen there is a return of senior officials that were suspended in this municipality for serious financial misconduct. right? Some of them had been returned to strategic responsibilities within the municipality. And some of them were elevated to responsibilities on committees where they dish out the tenders. So I'm saying is that if you were a councillor with the interests of the residents and the interest of keeping the integrity of the municipality intact, you can never agree on such illegal processes. It was only the DA and the opposition that opposed to certain of to these processes that is basically compromising the integrity of the municipality.
Which councillors are you talking about?
On
what you are saying?
Look, Percy,
which organization are you talking about?
When I say it was the opposition that was fighting or that was promoting, advancing decisions to be taken in a more legal way, you will understand the only countries that are left are those from the coalition. You see what I'm trying to say to you? So you don't need to be a scientist to understand who are those councillors, because I was saying councillors from the opposition were the only ones that disputed the processes currently happening within this municipality.
All of them?
All of them.
How are you going to make it a point that your party that you are leading, together with other parties, that you have a responsibility of making a point that these smaller parties are working with your party, that in terms of numbers, at least you've got some big numbers than them? How are you going to make it a point that these parties work with you?
Yeah. But Percy, look, politics is not only about numbers. It is about principles, it's about values, and it is also for what you stand for. Meaning, therefore, is that one of my responsibilities as the leader of the official opposition in the council will to be unite the opposition. Currently, we have entered. You will have one opposition party disputing the other one, insulting the other opposition party. Whereas we have a collective responsibility to keep the executive to make sure that the executive do the right things. We have a collective responsibility. So my responsibility now, not only leading the largest opposition or the largest party in the council. The DA is the largest party, although we are in the opposition in terms of the outcome of the last local government elections. But from here on, my responsibility as the leader of the opposition is to unite the opposition so that we have one common enemy. And that one common enemy is the lack of service delivery, the increase in irregular expenditure, the increase in wasteful expenditure, and the continuous illegal decisions taken by this government. So from now on, Percy, I will do everything possible to unite the opposition.
Councillor Rhino, can't you take something or learn something from what has been done by the national government, in fact, at the national level, of working together, you or your party and the African National Congress, and leave the smaller parties? Don't you think that will make at least things easier in this municipality?
Percy, the DA and the ANC is the two largest political parties in the council. And it's the only two parties that have constituencies. It's only the DA.
How about working together?
I'm moving there, Percy.
Yes.
It is only the DA and the ANC that have water councillors. Lack of service delivery. It's not MMCs from smaller political parties that are being confronted. It's the ward councillors from the ANC or the DA that are confronted by residents when there is a lack of services. Anger are directed. Take, for an example, currently in the coalition, you have the EFF, no water councillor. They occupy INE, infrastructure and engineering.
No, Mr. Rhino Kaiser. Mr. Rhino Kaiser, Councillor Rhino Kaiser, when you were in power,
yes,
you have done the same thing that has been that is happening now. What I'm asking you, why it is so difficult for you now? You've got an opportunity of working with the ANC in this municipality. Is it difficult for you to propose that in your organization?
Percy, it is not difficult to work with any political party who says the same principles, the same values, and also have the same understanding of putting the residents first. However, their discussions is above my pay grade. However, locally, we have no problem working with any organization who says our principles, our values, and also have the same understanding as DA to say we always act in the interest of our residents.
Are you prepared to work with the ANC in this municipality?
I always worked with all the political parties.
I'm talking about the ANC, but we'll talk more about this when we come back from the ad break. Welcome once again from the ad break. I am still with the newly elected caucus leader. This is the councillor who is at the helm of Democratic Alliance in this municipality of Nelson Mandela Bay, Councillor Rhino Kaiser. Welcome again, Councillor Kaiser. Councillor Kaiser, we have stated clearly that there are two political parties in this municipality who've got ward councillors. It's your party and the African National Congress. As you have also indicated that in this municipality, there is a lack of service delivery. People are crying, people need services. And yet, the trend has been set by the national government that those who can work together for the sake of service delivery, for the sake of the residents of this municipality, must work together. You've got numbers. The ANC is also having numbers. What is so difficult for you councillors to do that?
No, Percy, I don't think there's anything difficult. I think, as you have correctly said, that the trend has been set at the national level. And if needs be, that based on the discussion at that particular level, and in the event that discussion bring us together locally, so be it. But as the DA in this municipality, in the council, we are prepared to work with any political party.
Even the civil society, Sangoko, has once proposed this, because working with the smaller parties doesn't help you. In fact, didn't help you as DA. That's why you are out of power today, Because some of these smaller parties have backstabbed you when you were in power. Same thing happened even to the ANC. Even today, there is a lot of instability in this municipality. Why are you so fearful to work as two largest political parties? I think that you need to debate it.
No, Percy, but I have re-emphasized here twice that the DA is prepared in this council to work with any political party that shares our values. Hence, I'm said, I even agreed with you. The trend has been set nationally. And in the event that trend bring us together at a local level, we will be gladly working with any political party that shares the vision, the principle, and the most important thing, the understanding that as an executive, your sole responsibility is to deliver basic services to all our people in the Nelson Mandela Bay municipality.
Because in your opening statement, you have mentioned that the city is broken. Hence, I am trying to find from you the best solution for this municipality. Because as from 2016 till to date, things are becoming worse and worse on daily basis.
Percy, you are correct. The municipality is broken. Just in the previous financial year, we returned hundreds of millions back to the Department of Treasury of unspent grant funding. Those monies were supposed to render services to our people. Take for an example.
Even Councillor, what you are saying has happened even during your time when you were leading in this municipality.
No, Percy, I can tell you, when I was the MMC of roads, we have 101% expenditure. In fact, the DA was rewarded extra funding from government because other municipalities could not spend the grant funding, and those money were allocated to the DA government.
I am talking about instability in this municipality as from 2016.
Yes.
When this coalition government started, there was no stability in this municipality. Hence I'm saying, now is the time. Start your own experiment. You and ANC, start working together so that we can see how are you going to
Hence
work.
I'm saying, if the trend that is set nationally comes down to locally, we will embrace it. But you must also remember, Percy, we are subjected to the authority from our political principles. And I'm sure you can see that there is a GNU nationally that is structured quite well, working quite well, and the people of South Africa benefits. Hence I'm saying, if that model finds expression locally, we will be the first one to embrace it.
In 10 seconds, what are you promising us?
The residents of Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality can be ensured of an opposition that will execute its oversight functions effectively, responsibly, and we will make sure that this coalition of the corrupt render services to all the people in the Nelson Mandela Bay. We will ensure that that residents will receive 100 cents of value out of every rent when it comes to service delivery in the Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality.
Thank you very much. We hope that you will keep your words, Councillor Rhino Kaiser.
Thank you, Percy, and thank you to all your viewers.
That was the newly elected Democratic Alliance caucus leader in the Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality, Councillor Rhino Kaiser. After sibuyile kakhona evenkleni sisekunye nawe kwinkqubo yethu i-VOB Voice of the Bay. Good evening once again and welcome to your favorite talk show with myself, Percy M. We are supposed to talk to the Eastern Cape Head of Communications, Mr. Gift Ngcondi, who is now located at the Ntabankulu. That's where the Premier, that is where the Premier will be delivering his State of the Province address tomorrow. But we will go again for another commercial break and see that we can't connect with Mr. Gift Ngcondi. Enkosi kakhulu sibuyile kakhona sesimhlangene naye Mr. Gift Ngcondi. Mr. Gift Ngcondi, he's the head of communications in the Eastern Cape for the African National Congress. Good evening and welcome, Mr. Gift Ngcondi.
Good evening, Percy, and good evening to your viewers at home.
Mr. Gift Ngcondi, your party that you are talking on its behalf, you were in a meeting that you call it Lekgotla for 2 days in the province. What are the most issues that you have deliberated on in your 2-day Lekgotla?
Thanks very much, Percy. Let me first give this context in 30 seconds that this was a planning Lekgotla for the 7th administration, because you will recall that this is Lekgotla just after the 29th of May national and provincial elections. And in this Lekgotla, MECs in the provincial executive or the provincial cabinet form part, NEC deployees in the province formed part, all the mayors of the municipalities, local municipalities and district municipalities in the province, including the one metro Buffalo City, all the speakers of municipalities, chief whips, in fact, all troikas. So because this was the planning Lekgotla, just to plan for the 7th administration. But most importantly, Percy, you will recall that we had a Lekgotla earlier on before the election, around February, that was planning for the previous administration, which was the 6th administration. Now, this one was planning for the 7th administration. And the issues or the commissions that we looked at in the Lekgotla, we had about 6 commissions. And those commissions, they were looking at accelerating provision of basic needs and building a capable state, specifically dealing with legislature and governance. The second part was dealing with job creation and economic growth and infrastructure. The third one was dealing with health. The fourth one was dealing with issues of education and skills development in the province. The fifth one was dealing with issues of social transformation, fighting crime, and combating gender-based violence. And the last one was dealing with organizational building and immediate task in renewing the ANC, the society, and the state. If I can quickly recap in these last few minutes, on the first one that deals with basic needs and building a capable state, because this one was dealing with issues of governance, including provincial government and local government. Zooming in on the issues of local government, you will find most of the time that municipalities that are in the province lacks tax revenue base, because most of the consumers or abantu who resides in these municipalities are people of indigent. It's people who cannot afford some of these services or some of the services that are offered by the municipality in terms of making payments. Now, you will notice that even including in Nelson Mandela, there are many indigent people who qualify for that indigent policy because they can't afford, because they're living on old age grant, disability grant, foster care grants. So most of these municipalities don't have this tax revenue base. Now, part of the initiatives that we discussed upon was that municipalities must try first and foremost to collect revenue. Collect revenue in those that can afford, whether you talk about companies that are in different municipalities, whether you talk about manufacturing companies also, for instance, in Nelson Mandela and also in Buffalo City. But most importantly, recover money that is owed by consumers. In this instance, people who get services in different municipalities. Umzekelo, kukho abantu abatokola umbane, whilst abantu njengoba betokola umbane nje, they are receiving le indigent funds for uba xa bethenga umbane bafumane isibonelelo. Now, we are saying abantu abatokola umbane, oomasipala bonke, they must take immediate measures to recover and make sure that people pay for services. Eyesibini is that you'll find that i-department ezininzi ze-provincial government azibabhatali oomasipala, ziyaba-owe imali. Ufumaniseke uba oomasipala abaninzi ba-owe Eskom. Ba-owe Eskom because ababhatalwa zii-departments, and we are saying there must be speed up of those payments to make sure that i-revenue yoomasipala is stable. Esithathu into is that some of the services oomasipala that they must be assisted upon, yile misebenzi yokwenza i-paving ezitalatweni, le misebenzi yokwenza indlela, le misebenzi yofixa ii-potholes. And we are saying there must be beef up of infrastructure to make sure that oomasipala do lo msebenzi effectively so that bakwazi ukuprovide ii-services. Eyesine,
Okay.
kwalapho koomasipala, we are saying politicians must move away from interfering on issues of procurement. Issues of procurement must be dealt with supply chain processes, whether you talk about be it adjudication committee, be it specification committee, be it evaluation committee, so that abantu xa beprocura ii-goods and services, baprocura ii-goods and services effectively, kungekho ziphene, so that kungabikho litigations uba this company benefited through this process ngendlela engaqondakeleyo because there were interferences. Eyokugqibela kwalapho koomasipala is that oomasipala, they must make sure that baqesha abantu who are qualified, whether it's people on Section 56 or people who are Section 57 managers.
Mr.
I was
Tiknondi,
reflecting now on this issue of legislature and governance.
yes, thank you very much for giving us this detailed explanation. Mr. Tiknondi, you have mentioned a number of commissions that were discussing different matters, but my interest is on that safety and security.
Of course.
Yes, and your party, your African National Congress, even today is still claiming to be the leader of society. Is that so?
No, of course.
Yes.
Let me be frank on this. Let me be
But
frank on this.
Mr. Ngondi, as the leader of society, seemingly the ANC government in this province is finding difficult for the government to deal with this crime that is taking place, especially at Buffalo City, Mthatha. It's worse here in the Nelson Mandela Bay.
Yeah.
What does this Safety and Security Commission say about this? What plans do you have in terms of fighting crime in these three cities in this province?
Yeah, quickly, ndijonge ixesha. Let me be frank on this one. There was a detailed discussion on the issue of high levels of crime, in particular Nelson Mandela region, ingakumbi eGqeberha, and also in the areas of Mthatha and Hlumbo. We have received the report about crime statistics, the high levels of murders, illegal firearms, the issue of protection fees that are demanded from business people who end up closing their businesses, money racketing or extortion. On this particular one, the commissions, including the Lekgotla, agreed that, one, in Gqeberha, because of high levels of crime, one, there must be more deployment of police in Nelson Mandela to fight crime. Two, there must be more deployment of crime intelligence in Nelson Mandela to fight crime. But we even augmented this by saying we must also be supported by the deployment of the South African National Defence Force in Nelson Mandela to fight crime, because there are illegal firearms. People of Nelson Mandela are living in fear. People, they are robbed in churches, they are robbed in schools. Most of the schools are robbed. Almost 80% of the schools in Nelson Mandela have been robbed for the past few months. People are robbed in clinics. People are robbed even in traditional ceremonies in Nelson Mandela. And we have been frank, and I was part of that commission that made sure that these decisive measures being taken to fight crime in Nelson Mandela, so that at the end of the day, people of Nelson Mandela can enjoy safety in their homes, because they are even afraid in their homes because they are raided by masquerading criminals holding them in ransom with guns. So we have agreed on that one. Also in Umtata, there must be beef of the police, whether it's crime intelligence, whether it's TRT, so that issues that are dealing with protection fees and those who are involved in demanding, they must be exposed. But we're even further augmented by saying, during the time of the struggle, the apartheid team was even using slush funds to have impi. And we're saying we must also employ that strategy even now, so that there must be impimpis in our townships of identifying those who are demanding these protection fees, those who are extorting money from businesses, including individuals in their homes, so that they could be rooted out of society, so that people can live in peace and harmony in the townships of Nelson Mandela. Whether I talk about Motherwell, whether I talk about New Brighton, Zakhele, Zwide, the levels of car hijackings that are happening almost on a daily basis, where are being reported daily about Nelson Mandela. So we agreed on that one, that we must be firm and government must be firm in ensuring that this happens not today, not tomorrow, but immediately in Nelson Mandela.
Lastly, Mr. Gift Ngondi, we've got only 2 minutes. Mr. Ngondi, you are being criticized as the ANC government by the official opposition party for taking the State of the Province address to Ndabankulu. They are saying this is just a wasteful and expenditure. Your response?
Just to be frank, this is the government of the people, by the people, for the people. And there's nothing wrong in taking a legislature, opening of the legislature in Ndabankulu. In fact, this is not the first time that this process of taking legislature to the people has happened. It has happened in many times, even during the Imbizos. You are taking the legislature to the people, and some of these political parties have never complained about that, because this is where people are. People of Ndabankulu want to see members of parliament, want to see members of provincial legislature, and they want to interact with them. People who stay in Flagstaff, who are staying in far-flung areas that other people don't want to go to, they want to see their government, they want to interact and have a process of engagement with their public representatives. So there is nothing wrong, there's nothing untoward. People must just stop this cheap politicking, because at the end of the day, this is the government of the people, by the people, for the people. And these people have given this government mandate to deliver services, but also to have that interaction and accountability.
Mr. Kifinondi, because of time constraints, let's leave it there for now. But we thank you very much for affording us an opportunity to talk to you. Thank you very much, Siyabulela Buskubenzo.
Thanks very much.
Belwethu kwakhe naye Head of Communication wombutho we-African National Congress, Mr. Gift Ngondi. Lufikelele esiphelweni kwalenkqubo yethu i-VOB Voice of the People usuku namhlanje ifikelele esiphelweni. Igama lam nguPercy M. Lamani. Impinda, the repeat of the show, you will get it tomorrow night at 10 until 11. Again on Sundays evenings from 7:30 up until 8:30 o'clock. Mnanawe tomorrow between 6 and 7, Nkubela FM 97.0. Adios, amigos. God bless.